I never thought a single sentence from Adrian would unravel everything I thought I was. It started with a test, our psychology midterm. I had aced every quiz that semester, top of the class. Confident, maybe even cocky. But Adrian? He sat in the back row, half asleep most days, a lazy grin permanently etched across his face, like he knew something the rest of us didn't. The morning before the exam, he leaned over during roll call and whispered, "Let's make it interesting, Rolex." His voice was low, smooth, like a secret sliding between my ribs. I turned, eyebrow raised. "Interesting how?" "If I score higher than you," he said, twirling a pen between his fingers like a cigarette, "you spend one night doing exactly what I say. No backing out." I scoffed. "That's not gonna happen." "You scared?" he smirked. "Didn't think Rolex, golden boy of the department, knew how to say no to a little risk." I looked him dead in the eye. "You're on." And just like that, it began. Liam, my boyfriend, was waiting for me outside the lecture hall that afternoon, his hand slipping into mine like second nature. Liam was safety. He smelled like clean laundry and mint gum. We had been together since freshman year, built on routine, stability, and every cliché that came with being the perfect college couple. I didn't tell him about the bet. When the test results came back, I laughed at first. It had to be a mistake. Adrian, 91. Me, 89. 2 points. 2 goddamn points. I stared at the grades on my phone like they were written in a different language. Adrian sauntered past me in the hallway, casually tossing a folded note onto my desk. "Tonight. My room. 9 p.m. No excuses." There was no wink. No laugh. Just that smug assurance he always wore like cologne. By 8:45, I was pacing the floor in my dorm. Liam was at the gym like he was every Wednesday. I could have called it off. Could have said it was all a joke, told Adrian to fuck off. Instead, I changed my shirt. I don't know why I cared how I looked. Maybe it was ego. Maybe it was something else, something I wasn't ready to name. I knocked on Adrian's door at exactly 9:02. He opened it shirtless. 2 minutes late, he said, stepping aside. Strike one. His room was dim, lit by a single desk lamp. Music played softly, some lo-fi beat vibrating against the walls. He closed the door behind me, and I heard the click of the lock. "You're serious about this?" I asked, trying to sound amused, unaffected. Adrian flopped onto his bed, propping himself up on his elbows. "Deadly. You lost, Rolex. I won. And I'm cashing in." I didn't move from the door. "What exactly does this involve?" Adrian looked at me for a long moment. His gaze wasn't playful anymore. It was sharper, like he was dissecting me with his eyes. "You're tense. Always are. That boyfriend of yours, Liam, right? He doesn't let you breathe." "You don't know anything about him," I said, harsher than I meant to. Adrian smirked. "But I know you. And I know you've been looking at me when you thought I wasn't watching." I froze. I hadn't thought anyone had noticed, especially not him. That quick glance during class, that lingering second in the locker room. I told myself it was curiosity, not attraction. "Come sit," he said, patting the bed beside him. "I'm not here to hook up," I muttered. "Who said anything about hooking up?" His voice was velvet, teasing. "We're just two classmates. Hanging out." I didn't believe that for a second. But I sat. The mattress dipped under my weight. I could smell him, warm skin and something faintly citrus. He passed me a soda can. I took it, only to have my hand brush his. Static electricity shot up my arm like a fuse was lit. "Truth or dare?" he asked suddenly. I blinked. "What are we, 12? Humor me. You owe me a night, remember?" I sighed. "Truth." His grin widened. "Have you ever thought about cheating on Liam?" I turned to glare at him. "That's not funny." "Didn't say it was." I opened the can just to have something to do with my hand. The hiss filled the silence. I didn't answer. That was answer enough. "Your turn," Adrian said. I sipped. Truth or dare? Dare, he shot back without hesitation. I dare you to put on a shirt. He laughed, full and unapologetic. Not a chance. The game continued. Silly at first, questions about first crushes, childhood dreams. But then it got sharper. Fangs beneath the smiles. Every question and dare pushed a little deeper, peeled something back. The space between us shrank. You're hard to read, you know that? Adrian murmured. But I bet you taste like contradiction. I stood up. I should go. He didn't stop me. Just looked at me with that same unreadable expression. Doors unlocked, he said quietly. I opened it but paused in the threshold. My heart was racing. You think this is just a game to me? I asked. Adrian's eyes didn't blink. No. I think this is just the beginning. I didn't look back as I walked down the hall. But I felt the weight of his stare on my back the whole way. When I got to my room, Liam had texted, "Missed you. Hope you're okay. Let's talk tomorrow. Love you, Blueheart." I typed 3 different responses, deleted them all, and finally sent, "Love you too." But my hands were still shaking. I told myself I wouldn't go back. The morning after that first night in Adrian's room, I avoided him. In the hallways, in the cafeteria, even in our shared philosophy class, I kept my eyes glued to my notebook, pretending I didn't feel the burn of his stare at the back of my neck. Liam noticed I was distracted. He asked if I was okay, rubbed small circles into my palm with his thumb like he always did when I seemed anxious. I lied. I told him I was just tired. But by the end of the week, Adrian texted again. "You still owe me." I replied before I could stop myself. "I gave you your night." He responded instantly. "You left early. That's not how our deal works." I stared at the screen for a long time. Something inside me wanted to tell him to fuck off. Another part of me, quieter, darker, wanted to know what would happen if I said yes. The second time, I didn't bother pretending I was just being polite. It was Friday night. Liam had gone home for the weekend to visit his parents. I told him I had a group project. Another lie, stacked like bricks inside my chest. Adrian's door was open when I arrived. He didn't look surprised. This time, he was fully dressed. Ripped jeans, tank top, his hair messily perfect. He gestured for me to sit on the floor with him, a bottle of whiskey already half finished between us. "No dares this time," he said, pouring a drink for each of us. "Just truths." I took the glass. "I'm not drunk enough for that." "You will be." We sat in silence for a while, the hum of his speakers vibrating low through the room. The light was dim again, shadows dancing across his face. He started first. "What's Liam like in bed?" I laughed. "Wow. Right to it, huh? I don't waste time." I took a long sip. "Gentle. Thoughtful. That's code for boring." I looked at him. "No. It means he cares." Adrian leaned back, propping himself up on his elbows. "And yet, here you are. Again." I didn't answer. I didn't have one. The night stretched on like a slow pull of thread unraveling from a shirt you don't realize is coming undone. Adrian kept asking questions. Not crude, not exactly. But intimate. Focused. He wanted to know things I hadn't even said out loud to myself. "Do you ever wish you weren't so put together?" I frowned. "What does that mean?" "You're always on. Polished. Perfect. You ever want to break something just to feel it shatter?" I downed the rest of my glass and poured another. "Why do you care?" He smiled lazily. "Because I see you. The real you. And I think you're dying to be seen." I wanted to call him dramatic, pretentious, but the words didn't come. He crawled closer, not a pounce, not aggressive. Just close. Close enough that I could smell the whiskey on his breath. Close enough that his thigh brushed mine and neither of us moved. "Take off your shirt," he said, voice low. I hesitated. "Why?" "Because I want to see you. Not the version Liam loves. You." The silence between us stretched tight. My pulse thudded in my ears. But I lifted the hem of my t-shirt slowly and pulled it over my head. His eyes didn't move, didn't flicker. They drank me in slowly, almost reverently. "You don't even know how beautiful you are," he whispered. I laughed nervously, trying to defuse the moment. "That your next dare?" "No," he said. "That's just truth." He leaned in, hand brushing my arm. The contact sent a shiver across my skin. "Tell me to stop," he murmured. I should have. Instead, I said nothing. He moved closer, lips just a breath from mine. The tension was unbearable, like gravity was cheating, pulling me toward something I couldn't resist. I could feel the heat radiating off him, smell the salt of his skin. Then his lips grazed the corner of my mouth. Not a kiss. Just a touch. Just enough. And I panicked. I stood up so fast the whiskey bottle tipped and rolled. "I can't," I said, reaching for my shirt. "I can't do this." Adrian didn't chase me. He just looked up at me, face unreadable. "You will," he said quietly. His confidence infuriated me. Or maybe it scared me. I yanked open the door and walked out without a word. Back in my room, I collapsed onto the bed, shirt still in my hand. My skin still buzzed where he touched me. I stared at the ceiling for a long time. Liam sent a photo of his mom's homemade cookies, captioned, "Wish you were here. Miss you, Red Heart." I stared at the screen, thumbs motionless. I hadn't technically cheated. But I couldn't lie to myself anymore. Something had already cracked open inside me. Adrian hadn't kissed me. But I wanted him to. And that terrified me more than anything else. I used to think cheating started with a kiss. It doesn't. It starts with silence. It starts with secrets you keep from the person who trusts you most. It starts with not telling Liam about the second night. Or the third. It starts with deleting Adrian's messages instead of ignoring them. It starts with lies you rehearse until they don't even sound like lies anymore. By the time I actually kissed Adrian, the real betrayal had already happened. The third night wasn't planned. At least not by me. I was supposed to meet Liam after his evening lab. We hadn't had proper time together in weeks, and guilt had been eating me alive. I wanted to tell him the truth, or parts of it. I wanted to prove to myself that I was still the kind of boyfriend he believed I was. But he texted late. "Running behind. Might crash in the lab tonight. You okay?" I should have gone back to my room. I should have taken it as a sign. Instead, I walked. Adrian's door was already open. "You look like hell," he said, lounging shirtless again, as if it were his birthright. "I wasn't going to come," I muttered. "But you did." His smile was soft this time. No mockery. Just understanding. He offered no drink. No games. Just space, emotional and physical, and let me fill it on my own. I sat beside him on the bed. The silence between us wasn't awkward anymore. It was charged. Like two wires just waiting to spark. "I feel like I'm becoming someone I don't recognize," I admitted. He looked at me without judgment. "Or maybe you're finally letting that someone out." I didn't have a response to that. But I knew he wasn't wrong. "Liam's a good guy," I added quietly. "He is," Adrian agreed. "Too good for you?" I flinched. "What's that supposed to mean?" Adrian leaned in. "It means maybe he's in love with a version of you that never really existed. That hit too hard, too fast." I opened my mouth to argue, but he was already close. Too close. His lips brushed mine. There was no hesitation this time. No warning. The kiss was slow, deliberate, like he'd been imagining it in 100 different ways and finally chose the one that would ruin me best. I kissed him back. Because I wanted to. Because I needed to. Because in that moment, I wasn't Liam's boyfriend. I was just me, hungry, confused, desperate for something that felt real. We broke apart, breathing heavy. His hand still rested on my chest, fingers splayed across my skin like he owned it. "I knew you'd taste like contradiction," he whispered. I didn't speak. I couldn't. We didn't sleep together that night, not fully. But we crossed more lines than I could count. Hands exploring. Mouths tasting. Gasped names in the dark. I lost track of who I was pretending to be. Afterward, I lay there staring at the ceiling. Adrian traced circles along my hip bone with his thumb like it meant nothing. Like we hadn't just shattered something sacred. "Do you feel guilty?" he asked, voice low. "Yes," I whispered. "Good." I turned to face him. "Why good?" "Because it means you're not done pretending. And I like watching you unravel." It should have pissed me off. Instead, it made me ache. The next morning, I avoided Liam entirely. I told him I was sick. And for once, it didn't feel like a lie. My stomach churned with everything I didn't say. He sent soup to my dorm through one of his friends. Left a note. "Rest. I love you." It made me sick in the worst way. By nightfall, I was back in Adrian's room. This time, there was no pretense. I walked in, shut the door, and dropped my bag like it didn't matter. "Say it," Adrian whispered, pulling me close. "Say you're mine." "I'm not," I said breathlessly, as his hands slid beneath my shirt. He smiled against my neck. "Not yet." It became routine. Dangerous, addictive, like playing with fire every night and pretending I wouldn't get burned. I became an expert at compartmentalizing. Morning cuddles and coffee with Liam. Midnight secrets and sin with Adrian. Two worlds, separate but cracking at the seams. But cracks don't stay hidden forever. And one night, it all started to unravel. Liam showed up at my dorm unannounced. I'd just left Adrian's room. My hair was damp with sweat, my lips still swollen. Liam knocked and smiled when I opened the door. Surprise. Figured we could study together. I stared at him like a stranger. For a terrifying second, I forgot how to lie. He stepped inside, hugging me, then pulled back. "You smell different." My blood went cold. "Gym," I said too quickly. "Shower after." He nodded slowly. But the suspicion was already in his eyes. He didn't say anything more that night. But I could feel it. The beginning of the end. Liam didn't say a word the next morning. He kissed my forehead like usual, made coffee like usual, even smiled when I told him I had class. But I knew. Deep down I knew. His silence wasn't peace. It was a storm waiting. Adrian texted that afternoon. "You coming tonight?" I didn't reply. For the first time, the hunger didn't feel urgent. It felt dangerous. That night, I stared at myself in the mirror for over an hour. I didn't recognize the man looking back. His eyes looked tired, sunken. His lips swollen from secrets. His chest hollow from trying to be two people at once. It had to end. One way or another. Liam was waiting on my bed when I got back to the dorm. Hoodie on. Laptop open but ignored. He looked up with a tight smile. "Hey," he said casually. "You've been distant lately." I froze in the doorway. "Just stressed," I lied again. "Yeah." He clicked something on his keyboard. "Stressed enough to miss 3 nights in a row? Stressed enough to smell like someone else's cologne? Stressed enough to forget your phone here? And get a message from Adrian asking if you liked the way he bit your neck?" I stopped breathing. He turned the screen toward me. The message glowed like a neon sign in the dark. "Still thinking about the sound you made last night. Come back soon." I felt like I'd been split open. No more hiding. No more lies. No more pretending. Liam didn't yell. Didn't cry. He just looked at me like I was already gone. "How long?" he asked. I sat down slowly. 3 weeks. He nodded, jaw clenched. "Did you love him?" "No," I said quickly. Too quickly. It wasn't about that. Then what was it about, Rolex? I searched for an answer that didn't make me sound pathetic. But the truth sat sharp in my chest. "I don't know who I am anymore," I whispered. "With you, I'm perfect. Reliable. Predictable. With him, I'm reckless. Free. I didn't mean to hurt you." "But you did," he said, voice calm but breaking. "You didn't just cheat on me. You erased everything we built. For what?" I had no answer. He stood. The movement was slow, deliberate. "Like even that hurt. I loved you more than I've ever loved anyone," he said. And I thought you loved me too. I did, I said, voice cracking. I do. He shook his head. No. You loved the comfort, the illusion. Not me. And then, softly, I deserve someone who chooses me even when they're lost. Liam left that night. He didn't take all his things. Just the essentials. His hoodie still hung on the back of the chair. His toothbrush still leaned against mine in the cup. But his presence, the warmth, the quiet steadiness, was gone. I sat on the floor of our dorm room, knees pulled to my chest, and let the silence swallow me whole. Adrian showed up the next morning. He didn't knock. Just walked in like he had every right to. You told him, he said. I nodded. And he's gone. Adrian sat beside me. So now it's just us. I didn't respond. He leaned in. You don't have to pretend anymore. He's not here. You don't owe anyone anything. But that was the thing. I did. I owed Liam everything. Honesty, love, loyalty. And I gave him none of it. I looked at Adrian. Really looked. He was beautiful, sharp jaw, magnetic eyes, a mouth that promised sin, but he was chaos. He wasn't the reason I cheated, but he made it easy. You were right, I said. Adrian tilted his head. About what? I was pretending with Liam. But I was pretending with you, too. His smile faltered. What do you mean? I used you to destroy something I didn't know how to fix, I whispered. And I let you use me because I was desperate to feel something. Anything. He laughed softly, bitterly. So what now? You just walk away. I stood. I think I need to be alone for a while. Figure out who I am without being someone's boyfriend, or someone's secret. Adrian stood too, jaw tight. You think you're better than me now? No, I said. I think I finally understand that I wasn't better than anyone. I was just broken. He didn't say goodbye. Just walked out and slammed the door behind him. Weeks passed. I stayed single. I stopped drinking. I started therapy. I ran into Liam once on campus. He looked good. Tired, but good. He nodded at me politely and I nodded back. Nothing more. But I hoped it meant something, that he was healing. That maybe, one day, he'd forgive me. Not take me back. Just forgive. I don't know if Adrian ever wanted more from me. Or if I ever truly wanted more from him. But what we had was built on a dare, and like all games, it ended eventually, with someone losing more than they expected. There's a moment when silence becomes peace. When guilt stops choking you and starts reminding you to be better. I'm still learning how to live with what I did. Still learning how to sit with the version of me that hurt the only person who ever really loved me. But now, at least, I don't run from it. Now I face it. Alone. And maybe that's where the real story begins.